everyone, welcome to Mom Talks. Happy Friday, gorgeous day outside in St. Louis. We're happy to have you along with us. Today we're going to be talking about childcare when you return back to work. Again, we're continuing our series, our New Mom series, about just challenges and expectations and things that you're going to be coming across when you're a new mom. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about being a working mom, and we're going to be talking about childcare. Now, just right off the bat, I want to say I'm a daycare mom, I'm a working mom, work full time. I have some of my best friends in the world are stay-at-home moms. I have friends who work part-time. I have friends who use family as babysitters. So we want to just come right out and say there is no one right way to do things. There are millions of different great options. It's about what's best for you and what's best for your family. So we just want to get that right out of the way. But today we're going to be talking about if you do decide to go back to work full-time or part-time, about who's going to be watching your kiddos while you're away for a little bit. It's tough. But for some families it works well. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I want to introduce Margie. She's here today from the St. Louis Children's Hospital. Now you'll have to help me with the word. Is it
St. Louis Children's Hospital Child Development Center.
Child Development Center.
Yes, located in Newstead.
Yeah.
We do have the two centers, one in Clayton and one here at Newstead.
Yeah, so if you know where our campus is, right by there. So we're going to be talking today a little bit about things you should expect whenever you're selecting a daycare. So for starters, I think most people want to know, when should you even start looking for the daycare? Should you wait till the baby's here, or should you start earlier?
As soon as you find out you're pregnant, you need to get on a wait list.
Wow. That
Yes.
seems so soon.
Yes. Well, infant child care is difficult to find, I'll be honest with you, and there's usually long wait lists for infant child care. So as soon as you find out that you're pregnant, it is best to get on the wait list and
hope for the best.
Hope for the best.
Exactly, hope for the
Yes.
best. So what should families be considering when they're thinking about different kinds of childcare options? You know, there's having a babysitter, there's doing an in-home center, there's doing a big center. What should parents be thinking about when they're considering daycare?
I think you just need to think about what's best for your family. There are different options. We have families here that use us full-time. Some of them use us part-time, and they have a grandparent that helps the other time. Some of them have a nanny along with us. So there's lots of different options out there. Some use home daycares and then use us for their backup. We are only for employees of the BJC network and Morshoe families, and so we can't reach out to anybody besides that.
Right, and some major employers in St. Louis do that, you know,
Yes.
where they have childcare centers for the children of their employees. So when parents come and they're looking for their daycare, what should they be kind of watching for whenever they're touring a facility for the first time?
The first thing I always have told parents is go with your gut. Go in, see how you feel, because that's going to be the most important thing, is how you feel when you walk in. You're going to be asking questions regarding child-staff ratio. So for infants in Missouri, for Missouri licensing, it's a 1-to-4 ratio for children under 2. When children are 2 to 3, it's a 1-to-8 ratio, and then when they're 3 to 5, it's a 1-to-10 ratio. So making sure that they know those ratios, and those are licensing guidelines that we have to follow. They need to be asking if we're an open door policy. Can they come in whenever they want? And if what their curriculum is like. For infants, people say, well, you don't have a curriculum for infants, but that's not true. We want to make sure that the children are on their sleeping schedule, on their eating schedule, that they're receiving tummy time, they're being read to, they're being talked to, the toys are being changed out to meet their needs as they grow. And then as they move into the toddler stages, what type of curriculum that are you actually putting down on paper? We always let the infants join into the toddler curriculum as soon as they can. So if it's a painting activity, we'll have little ones painting. So knowing what their curriculum is and their philosophy of teaching. There's lots of different philosophies out there, and what fits with what you feel is right for your family.
So let's go into some of these in a little bit more detail. And I do want to remind everyone that we are taking questions. So if you hear something that you want some clarification on or a follow-up, please go ahead, type it in, and we'll get to it throughout the episode. So let's start with talking about teaching philosophy.
Mhm.
You know, some people might think, well, for children that are very young, how do you develop a philosophy? So just talk a little bit about what your philosophy is here and how that plays out in the classroom.
Sure. So we teach through constructivism based on Piaget's studies of how children learn best. So lots of hands-on activities.
Mhm.
We feel that children learn best through those explorations, so they can learn to internalize things and get messy. We play with a purpose here, is what we say. So we are considered play-based, but you're not going to be sitting down. In the older classrooms, you're not going to see worksheets and things like that. But we're going to be introducing letters and colors through just the different areas that they get to go and explore. So in the dramatic play area, they're talking about the foods, and we may have pictures on the wall with the different foods of what a healthy plate might look like.
Sure.
Alphabet letters in the Play-Doh or in the sensory table, so they're doing things like that. Block area, they may put letters on the blocks so they can explore them that way, or have letter blocks. A lot of people want to know about they want them ready for kindergarten.
Sure.
Biggest thing that we focus on is that social emotional growth, and we want them to know that they're being taken care of and loved. If they're not taken care of and loved and working on that social emotional growth, they're not going to learn in the different areas.
So let's talk about a few things that might play more when you're coming in with a new baby.
Okay.
So let's talk a little bit about what questions should parents be asking about feeding baby, about bottles?
Yes, so they come in, how do you take care of breast milk? Can we bring in breast milk? And yes, we come in, they have to have it labeled. Everything that we feed to a child has to have their name on it. And then we label them special when they're breast milk bottles. And then you're constantly in conversation with the teachers regarding what their feeding is going to be. So as they move into cereal and things like that. So you're just going to be asking, how do they go about that? Talking about how they keep them on their sleep schedule. Some parents believe they have this set sleep schedule. Will you follow that? Asking those questions. Are you going to be able to do that with my little one?
Because, some places will say when they're tired they take a nap. Others say no, nap is at 1 o'clock. So
no. And we went for the infants and toddlers. We believe until they're down to that 1 nap a day, we're on their sleep schedule and on their eating schedule. So, asking them about that as well. Swaddling, they have to have swaddle releases. All the teachers, as part of Missouri licensing, they must all be, anybody that teaches in the center must be trained in the back to sleep training. And so that is a requirement that they have to have as well.
So we've been talking a lot, and you keep using that phrase, state licensing. What does it mean to be state licensed?
You have licensing comes in, Missouri State licensing comes in, and they make sure that we're following all their guidelines. We have a big packet of things that we have to follow. So a room may be licensed for a certain age, and you can't bring other children into that room and use that room for an age that's not licensed for.
Sure.
We have to have certain equipment. We have to make sure we do fire drills. We do tornado drills. We have to have all those things documented. So there's a long list of things that we have to maintain. They want to know making sure that we're maintaining that child-staff ratio. All staff are required to have trainings throughout the year. They have to have 12 hours of clock-hour training, CPR training, and like I said, the back to sleep. So there's different things like that.
So there's a lot of benefits as far as holding the center, accountable for being safe. So when parents come in, I guess how important is it to see happy, smiling children?
Well, I think you can walk into a center and there's going to be somebody crying.
Well, that's a given, by the way.
But yes, I think you have to, again, like I said before, when you walk in, you have to feel comfortable with where you're at. And if you see the kids playing and interacting, if you see the teacher singing to them, maybe walking around in the buggies, doing different activities with them and seeing them engaged. We're not babysitters. We care for your kids and we love them and make sure they're safe and have all their needs met. But we're also teaching them, and we want to, so it's a whole part of it.
It looks like we have a question.
So one of our viewers wants to know if there's warning signs parents should be aware of whenever they go visit a center or whenever they're interviewing one of the people that works at the center.
That's a good question.
It is a good question. Again, feel your gut. I mean, I think it has to be an open door policy, making sure that you can see their license have their license, that it's maintained, that the classrooms are, stocked with the toys, and, that's a tough one. I think you just kind of have to go in and
Mother's intuition, it's real.
It's huge. It is huge. And if you don't feel comfortable, you're not going to be comfortable going to work, and you're not going to be able to work if you're not comfortable when you're.
I know our center is very clear on you can stop by anytime, come in, see your kids, and I think that's so important as far as just one being accountable, but also just being transparent.
Absolutely.
So
I think so.
Okay, so one thing that has, I think, tripped up many a parent, myself and my husband included, is sick policy. There was one day my daughter had a fever one afternoon, we tried to bring her the next morning, they said no, she's got to go home. So let's talk about sick policy, and with state licensing, what's sick policy like?
So they have, their requirements that you look. When parents come, they look for, when parents come in for, we call them an intake, or a pre-enrollment visit, or what, we go over all the 6 policies, making sure that families understand what they are. If they have a temperature of 99 degrees under the arm or 100 in the mouth, that would be considered sick. It is 24 hours, fever or symptom-free. We look at the whole child, and those are you're going to be talking with your centers on that, but it is a 24-hour symptom-free policies.
So, and also, you'll learn, you make a lot of trips to your pediatrician to make sure they're symptom-free and that there's not something else that's kind of going on, like those nasty ear infections or teething.
And so, if they have an ear infection, they're on antibiotics and they're running that low-grade fever, and they're able to function in the classroom, we're going to look at that as well. But if they're vomiting or have diarrhea, they need to go home and be symptom-free.
And be taken care of. So, good. So, one thing that I think that a lot of moms, especially when it's first kid, is they struggle a little bit with going back to work. Mom guilt is real.
It absolutely is.
And can you talk a little bit about how do you reassure parents that, the first day drop off, there's probably tears from mother and baby, so.
Absolutely. And I think that comes from, with the teachers, building those bonds and those relationships with them, and, assuring them that they can call. But we do a lot of photographic documentation here for their portfolios. I know there's some centers that do photographic documentations and they send that out. We do not do that here. We want them to be focusing on the children, so we don't do that during the day. But I've had parents ask, can you send me a picture of so-and-so? I said, yes, we'll go down and take a picture and we'll send it to you to make sure. And I've done it just because some parents have been so distraught. And I said, look, here's
they're fine. They're fine.
They're having fun. Look, they're playing in the paint and they're whatever they're doing at the time. I think it goes along with just building that relationship with them, and it just grows on time. It's hard. It's one of the hardest things in the world to do for parents.
And I can speak from experience, butterfly room, hedgehog room, if you're watching, I love you. That after a while, they really do become partners, almost part of the family.
Absolutely. And, open communication. He was really cranky last night, or she didn't eat any dinner, she went straight to bed. She seems a little off today. Just being open with what's going on with the teachers.
And becoming partners, like I said.
I think you do have to become partners and accept us as partners as well.
Okay. Thank you so much, Margie. That is going to do it for us here today on Mom Talks. Thanks for joining us. We invite you still, even after we're done, feel free to leave your comments. What's working for your family? What do you love about your daycare, your babysitter, life as a stay-at-home mom? You name it. Go ahead, write it in. Next week, we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite, breastfeeding. And we're going to go beyond just breastfeeding and the benefits of breast milk, but we're going to talk about breastfeeding and the working mom. So, pumping, lactation rooms, what are your rights? We'll cover all of it. It's going to be a great episode, and we're looking forward to having you in Parkview Tower with our lactation consultants. Have a great week.